The saying, money is the root of all evil, couldn't be any further than the truth. You can be best friends for many years without issues, till money gets involved and the relationships go sour. We've seen that happen over and over again with many business relationships. People have different visions and opinions, and that sometimes clashes, causing friction in a once cordial relationship. For this piece, I'll be giving my opinionated analysis on what happened between Jay-Z, Dame Dash, and Biggs of Roc-A-Fella Records. This is not a pocket-watching piece, nor a nut-glazing video. I have no connection or contact to neither one of these guys, but as someone who has ran multiple businesses, I'll be staying neutral and giving my thoughtful analysis as an outsider looking in. Without any further delay, let's get to it. Jay-Z's story has been told so many times over the years. A Brooklyn MC who burst into the scene as a young protege for Jaz-O in the late 80s and later went on to debut his own first album, Reasonable Doubt, in '96 under the label he had formed with his two friends and partners, Dame and Biggs. Born Sean Corey Carter in Brooklyn, New York on December 4th, 1969. He was the youngest of 4 children. He grew up in the infamous Marcy Projects, where his love for music came from. He began rapping in 1984 at the age of 15, after mastering his lyrical skills at his high school cafeteria, performing in competitions with his peers. In his 2010 book, Decoded, he wrote, "I connected with an older kid who had a reputation as the best rapper in Marcy. Jazz was his name, and we started practicing our rhymes into heavy-ass tape recorders with a makeshift mic attached." He subsequently adopted a similar stage name, Jay-Z, which was derived from the shortening of his nickname, Jazzy. In 1986, Jazz and Jay teamed up and formed the duo Hype Potent. They dropped their single, HP Get Busy, but it flopped, and the rap duo went nowhere. They also recorded a song called The Originators that didn't start making rounds till a few years later. Jaz-O got his deal first out of the two with EMI, a British music publishing company, but he kept Jay with him as his hype man. Around this time in Jay's life is where he describes his hustling days in his book Decoded, where he says he was moving around Brooklyn, Washington Heights, and down the Interstate 95 to Trenton, New Jersey. In 1989, Jaz-O, who had the EMI deal, had to go to London where EMI was based at to record his debut album, Word to the Jazz, and Jay flew with him on the trip along with a young DJ Irv, or Irv Gotti. Jay said in his book he had to get out of Dodge at the time to avoid a federal raid back home. He appeared on a song and music video for Hawaiian Sophie that peaked on the charts. When he returned back to the States, he traveled on Big Daddy Kane's tour bus. Big Daddy Kane introduced him to his fans on stage where he spits a freestyle.
I want y'all to meet some friends of mine, okay? I want y'all to put your hands together for my brothers Jay-Z and Positive K. Put your hands together for Jay-Z and Positive K. I'm gonna turn the mic over to them, and they're gonna get busy and wreck shop for y'all.
Yeah, that was cool, that little thing you did there, right? We gonna flip this right now. It goes 1 for the fast flow, 2 for the slow flow. Whenever you're ready to keep it real steady, see, let the record go. And you don't stop, oh yeah, don't stop, oh yeah, don't stop. I just throw your hands in the air and wait for Mike, you just don't care. And if you got one in the bucket, you don't give a fuck. Let me hear you say, well, oh yeah. Now check this out. Here I am, the man. I took it and sing it and bring it to the mic again. Together forever and never know what to fail. Well, whatever the weather, I'm ready to sing the pale in comparison. Jay-Z's embarrassing. Time out, filling it around that, filling it the last. Jay-Z rhymes to use to take them to quote with making us to all. War, I'm stopping and popping and dropping the lyrics you all. So leave on the teacher, you gotta be willing to be. Sure, so follow the process, press the flow. Make sure you don't blow. Stay with the flow. Hey, yo, could you try not to miss these? I blew the quickness, sticking in the brisk breeze. And I'm shaking it, making it breaking, can't you fix these? I'm showing you the day and the day and the play them out like the 60s. When I appear, you better know I'm sincere. And saying Jay-Z is here.
Kane said in an interview, "When I would leave the stage to go change outfits, I would bring out Jay-Z and Positive K and let them freestyle until I came back to the stage. Jay also appeared on a few tracks along with Big Daddy Kane, Big L, and Jaz-O around 1990 to 94, which somewhat raised his profile in the hip-hop scene. Him and LL Cool J had a little verbal jab going on too. Still on Sign and just making brief appearances on other rappers' tracks, Jay fell back to the streets and started getting to it according to his book. According to him, he was making enough money that he felt he didn't need to rap anymore. But that changed and he eventually connected with some guys across the East River in Harlem, New York around the year 94. They were a group of young hustlers who went by the name Best Out. It included Dame Dash, Kareem Biggs Burke, and a few others who used to throw parties at venues in the city. Dame Dash, a Harlem native, was advised to link up with Jay-Z by DJ Clark Kent because he was managing a few up-and-coming hip-hop acts at the time. After the introduction was made, the two sparked it off right as both were young entrepreneurs building a name for themselves in the industry. Dame brought in Biggs, and the plan was to take the marketing savvy that they used with Best Out and apply it to music. The three agreed to launch Roc-A-Fella together in the late 94 or early 95, with Biggs being the silent partner and Dame and Jay being the most visible. Jay got to work and started recording his debut album set to drop the following year in 1996. With a singles-only deal by Payday Records, a small label, Jay had been turned down by most of the major labels at the time, so most of the promotions were groundwork done by the trio, Dame, Biggs, and himself. They also got a small distribution deal with Priority Records and started moving CDs out the back of their cars. Dame was a firm believer in Jay back then. Jay also had Irv Gotti as his DJ at the time. The two had met back in 1987 when they were both in London coincidentally with Jaz-O to record his album. Irv Gotti, who was just starting to make a name for himself in the industry, had connections to Def Jam and a few up-and-coming artists at the time, like Geronimo, DMX, and Ja Rule. Irv helped raise Jay's profile by putting him on his lead artist Geronimo's album and also making him part of the group Murder Inc. with up-and-coming DMX and Ja Rule, but they didn't go too far. Irv produced one of the classic tracks, Can I Live, on Reasonable Doubt album, even though Jay wasn't his artist. Irv Gotti, being an A&R rep to Def Jam, introduces Jay to Kevin Liles, a Def Jam exec. Both Biggs and Dame pulled up on Liles with $10,000 in cash to promote another single on the album, Ain't No, but Liles refused to accept the money. Liles respected the fact that these young cats had their own and were willing to put it up, so he helped put Ain't No single on Eddie Murphy's Nutty Professor movie soundtrack, which exposed Jay to a broader audience and gave his debut album Reasonable Doubt that dropped on June 25, 1996 a chance to be heard. Guest appearances including Memphis Bleak, Mary J. Blige, Jaz-O, and the Notorious B.I.G. among others. This classic album today would have probably went unnoticed as it only sold a mere 43,000 copies in its first week. None of the singles reached the top 40 spot on Billboard. Ain't No was the highest charting single at number 50. Def Jam's move to add on the singles to Nutty Professor basically saved it. The album went on to sell 420,000 copies in its first year of release, making Jay a force to be reckoned with in hip-hop. Seeing the success and a buzz around the first album, Def Jam signed Jay to a 50-50 multi-million-dollar distribution deal in 1997 with his Roc-A-Fella imprint. Def Jam bought half of the label for $1.5 million, leaving Jay, Dame, and Biggs the other half. It was on from there on. The trio's hustle had finally paid off, and they had found their purpose in life. Jay released his next 3 albums, In My Lifetime Volume 1 in 1997, Volume 2, Hard Knock Life in 1998, and Volume 3, Life and Times of S. Carter in 1999. All 3 of those albums included hit records, and he also made guest appearances on Biggie's posthumous album, Life After Death, that raised his popularity as one of the biggest rappers in the country and made Roc-A-Fella a label to be reckoned with. Dame knew how to capitalize on Jay's powerful momentum, and in 1999, Dame organized the legendary Hard Knock Life Tour, which featured a lineup of Hove, DMX, Method Man, Redman, and Beanie Sigel, Memphis Bleak, Ja Rule, DJ Clue. The list goes on. The tour grossed over $18 million and established Roc-A-Fella as one of the most exciting record labels to watch.
Who would have thought that hip-hop itself would generate $1.5 billion, having the rock and roll dudes choking, staggering, knocking down cats like Garth Brooks, and now they know our name.
Rough Rider, Roc-A-Fella, you can't compromise that.
Every artist up here has started their own movement in their own right.
They had to protect their name, and as well as we had to protect ours.
This is a Roc-A-Fella, Wu-Tang, and a Rough Rider presentation. We got together and did this.
I don't think you set out to make history, it just happened.
Is there a concern that throughout the tour there might be a clash of egos?
If it does happen, I don't think it'll be within this table.
We all grown men, first of all, with a job to do, so we responsible individuals. Everybody gonna be held accountable for their own actions. Whatever happens is gonna happen.
Memphis Bleak, Jay's protege, who had appeared on a track Coming of Age off the Reasonable Doubt album, was one of the first artists to sign to Roc-A-Fella Records, then followed by the Broad Street Bully, Beanie Sigel out of Philly in 1998. Bleak dropped his album Coming of Age in 1999, and it peaked at number 7 on the Billboard 200, selling 118,000 units in its first week. Beans dropped his debut album, The Truth, in 2000, which peaked at number 5 on the Billboard charts and selling 155,000 units in its first week of release. Beans was the head of a group State Property, which included Freeway, Petey Crack, Oskino Vasquez, and Amelia Sparks. He later added the duo Young Guns, which included Young Chris and Neef Buck. All were under the Roc-A-Fella imprint. In the year 2000, a young Chicago beatmaker, Kanye West, started producing for artists on Roc-A-Fella Records as an in-house producer. While Jay and Roc-A-Fella, the label, was getting bigger in the music scene, he started noticing the power of his influence amongst his fans, from the clothes they were wearing to the preferred alcohol beverages that was being imitated by the audience. Jay and Dame saw an opportunity to get into the clothing business, following the model of Russell Simmons with his Fat Farm brand. The idea actually came about around 1997, but it wasn't launched till later on in 1999. Jay was quoted as saying, "I will make records and talk about various clothing brands, and I started noticing that I was selling a lot of clothing for these companies. I would go to them and they kept turning me away. I don't think they understood the amount of clothing I was moving for them." Dame handled the day-to-day of the business, while Jay was out wearing and promoting the brand. Dame understood the power of co-branding and collaboration. He brought in the now fashion giant Charlotte Ronson, who was just a 21-year-old British singer looking to bridge into the fashion world at the time. With Roc-A-Fella for financial backing and distribution, the 21-year-old Ronson was able to concentrate on the creative aspect of the business. In the year 2000, Rocawear signed a deal with Midway Games and PlayStation 2 to design clothing for the Afro Thunder character from the popular video game Ready to Rumble. Another branding opportunity came with the early 2002 release of the new film State Property with Beans. The film featured a State Property line of Rocawear, and Beans got a piece of the deal. Beans and the State Property crew wore the outfit in the film, and while performing, Dame was working. By mid-year 2002, him and a crew flew to Paris, shooting an ad campaign featuring the new State Property line and Rocawear's other apparel. Models, State Prop, and former Spice Girl Victoria Beckham shot on locations around the legendary City of Lights. In a campaign Dame hoped would appeal to the European consumers. Dame was dreaming big and wanted to conquer the international scene, so Rocawear opened an office in Amsterdam to handle all its international interests. Rocawear got so big that it was pulling in about $120 million in sales. Charlotte Ronson, who Dame had brought on board, had developed her own clothing line, C. Ronson, and she shot her first advertising campaign in the Rocawear showroom. The investment in her turned out to be a success, as she had pulled in about $1 million in sales by the end of 2002. By 2003, Rocawear sales were upwards of 300 million. I had a few pair of Rocawear jeans and shirts myself in high school. So not only were they making crazy bank with Rocawear clothing brand, there was also Rockefeller Films and the music label. Dame even had a new music label for the other sound like pop, rock, blues, and he launched a magazine called America. They even added Naomi Campbell and Victoria Beckham as Rocawear representatives. All three amigos were at the top of their game. As for the label, it was as successful as it could be. Even though Jay and Nas had one of the biggest musical battles at the time, it was still all good for the label. Dame signed Camron on December 4th, 2001, on Jay's 32nd birthday. Cam brought in this guy, Jim Jones, and they started a Dipset movement, which included Juelz and other rappers down the line. Roc-A-Fella Records was like a dream team. They had Memphis Bleak, Beans with State Prop, Young Guns, Cam with Dipset, and the big honcho Jay leading the pack. They seemed unstoppable, and Jay started to get deals solely based off his name and image. He signed a 4-year partnership with Reebok for his S. Carter sneaker line.
Just blaze. And I told y'all I was finna blow like C4, stunting the G5, flying the G4. G-Unit footwear, G apparel. I'm so hood, that blue and that white looks so good. Hip hop, man. We gon' take it to the next level. Kicks match that hat and that throwback. Kids stay color coordinated, man, you know that. Truth is, I ain't got a jump shot, but I got a left hook. I don't swing golf clubs, but I still like golf brooks. I'm hot, man, I rock Reeboks, man. If it ain't the G-Unit, it's the S-Dot, man. S-Dot's taking off, G4's about to land. See how we cross brand, we boss about it, man. Got the soul of the old Gucci's, if you upset, sue me. If not, sit back and watch me do me. Parking lot pimping, sideline ballers. We don't sweat up the fresh, let the girls do it for us. The watch talk for me, drop talk for he. Brand new S-Dots walk with me. Sorta like you, just scored a bucket. You bow-legged, you frontin', you walking awkwardly. Oh, it's nothing, keep score with me. Give me 3 hot seconds, I break Reebok records.
They sold 10,000 pairs the first hour. It launched at $150 a pop. This might have perhaps rubbed his partner Dame the wrong way, as rumors started to swirl that there might be some internal conflicts going on. Jay was now thinking of retiring from rap after dropping the Black album in November of 2003, which hit #1 on the Billboard chart. Back in 2002, some interesting events happened that showed some friction that was downplayed to the public. Dame and Jay were at odds on how to move the company forward. Dame wanted to step back as CEO and focus on films in anticipation of his movie Paid in Full. So while Jay was vacationing in the Mediterranean island, Dame started to switch up roles within the label. He announced that Camron, who he had pulled into the fold, will be president of the label and Beans will be vice president. This, of course, didn't sit right with Jay, who made a statement right away while still on vacation. He says, "That's not taking effect as of yet. We always want to continue the tradition of Roc-A-Fella and breed entrepreneurs. They're gonna step in and do their thing one day, but I think the talk is a little premature as of right now. But that's definitely in the plans for Roc-A-Fella in the future, for them to come in and step in." Under Dame's supervision as his manager and business partner, Jay-Z recorded 9 #1 albums in the US and won 4 Grammys. Another rapper from the Roc-A-Fella staple, Kanye West, another Dame's discovery and Jay-Z's protege, sold 3 million copies of his first album, The College Dropout. 2004 is where it became fully obvious that there is some friction in Paradise, as Jay was looking to venture more into business and separate himself from Dame, who he sees as trying to outshine the rappers on the label.
Tell me about Summer Jam 2001.
Crazy. It's live. We the champions. You heard
Michael
it.
Jackson.
We live.
King of rap, the king of pop. Holla.
Turned out crazy. Big event, 20,000.
It's the Rock, you bastards.
As always, you heard? Holla.
Beanie.
We don't do much.
Summer Jam 2001, man. How was it for you, man?
We don't do much.
We right here. Big celebration as always, man.
We don't do much.
That's it. It's a wrap. We out here. Chigga, man.
Brooklyn. Oh yeah. Zab. Okay. Right here. All day. It's just the beginning. It's about to be crazy.
After Kanye, who Dame brought on board, dropped his College Dropout album that topped the charts, Jay by himself was negotiating with Def Jam about creating his own company. To make matters even worse, Dame was hit with a $15 million lawsuit on January 14th from an ex-model who claimed he had raped her at a party in Brazil on New Year's Day 2003. Since the allegations or supposed incident happened while they were overseas briefly to celebrate the holiday, Brazilian police did not do any thorough investigations or follow-up, so she went after Dame in civil courts in the US. Right after this, Dame fires most of Rocawear's in-house marketing firm staff and switched up the management team. Amidst all the controversy and uncertainty going on, Cam was also looking to separate himself from the label. He trades in his Roc-A-Fella piece to his jeweler for something else. Dame happens to stumble upon the piece while at the jewelry store and he goes ballistic.
Huh?
Nobody robbing you.
Where'd y'all get the piece?
Dame, how we robbing you?
Where'd y'all get the piece? Because somebody came, probably stole this or found it or whatever, however they got it, and sold it back to you for you to resell, and you just let that happen?
Can I ask you a question, Dame? How are we going to sell something
Where'd you, so exactly, so
how
where
are we going to sell something
that's my point, because you're not selling this.
I will good for you. Or give
Who made the piece, B? Where you get this piece?
Just answer who made it, please.
Where'd you get this piece? Where'd you get this piece?
Нельзя, потому что проблема будет у нас. Yo, Dame, you gotta bring that back, yo. What you doing?
Also, Beans was going through his legal issue with the gun case, so there was a lot of bad press with Roc-A-Fella at the time. Def Jam is now trying to figure out how to separate Jay from Dame, as they see him as somebody who they couldn't work with anymore because of his temperament. The last straw was when Dame found out about a meeting at Def Jam's offices about Jay that he wasn't a part of. Dame decided to head up there, where he berated everybody in the office.
Should have called Dame and Dash and said, and you want the whole thing to hear it? Keep the door open. I don't give a Y'all should have called Dame and Dash, made sure I was privy to it, and made sure I was CC'd or whatever. You don't send an email randomly at 10:30 at night or whatever it is at night, the day we all had awake. That don't fly right. That just up. And on another level, it's not for y'all to go. Y'all do not control any of my artists. That's why I'm asking questions. Everybody's looking dumb in the face. So what was we doing? What was we talking about in terms of Jay? Let me know.
Why don't we just call the meeting?
Why?
Because you know what it's like.
Why?
Demon, no one.
Why? Who cares? Why? We all here. Why now you want to call a meeting?
Because you know what? No one needs to sit here and be.
No one is so to get the out. I don't give a Then get out. This is not about you. We're going to do something about Jay. We're going to do it together. All right then, but why you didn't call me? You want to make excuses? You can talk all you want. This is treacherous. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I'm sick of this shit. I'm sick of this shit. And go get Leo. You always leave when you ain't got shit to say. This nigga just got sued for this bullshit. The same kind of shit. Y'all better stop with me. Y'all gonna get your man in some trouble. I'm telling you. So if y'all want to talk about Jay, if there was an agenda, let's go through it.
Nah, we're gonna reschedule, man.
What the you mean you're gonna reschedule?
We're gonna reschedule, man.
What you mean you're gonna reschedule? You get the out. Come on. Look, y'all heard now that Roc-A-Fella saying no one wants to go. You're not a leader. You don't know about my culture. Get the out. You don't know about Jay. Get the out, Randy Acker. That's why all artists kick your ass anyway.
Excuse me?
That's why you stay getting punched in your face by other artists, not by Dame Dash, but other people, because you don't respect my culture. That's why. That's why you've been smacked. Not by me, by other people. Get out of here. Beat it. No one needs you. Get out. Clear a sample or something.
By the end of the year 2004, in November, Dame pulled the same move with Rocawear, firing the new management he had just brought in within a year. Some of the staff said he was difficult to work with and irrational. Dame told the Daily News Record, "Not many people can understand my business, and I have high expectations." The relationship had gotten so sour that Dame couldn't work with Jay no more. So, the next month in December, Jay, Dame, and Big sold the remaining half of their share in Roc-A-Fella Records to Def Jam for $10 million. Remember, Def Jam bought half of it before for $1.5 million in 1987 at a $3 million valuation. The new sale put Roc-A-Fella Records being worth $20 million. Also, Jay was trying to separate himself from all the bad press Dame and Beans was getting, so he started going into other ventures. He buys a percentage in the NBA team, the Nets, in 2005. He ended up taking the CEO position at Def Jam Records, who had just bought out the company that he had launched with both Dame and Biggs. The CEO position came with some percentage of Roc-A-Fella Records. This was like an ultimate blow to Dame and a point of no return, as he saw it as Jay backstabbing him. Jay tries to make amends with his guys, since they still had other business ventures together like the money-making machine Rocawear that had pulled in $3 million in sales at that point in time. Jay offered his shares of Roc-A-Fella back to Dame and Biggs if they would give him sole rights to his first album, Reasonable Doubt, but they refused. The interesting thing about the whole situation was that Dame initially agreed to the deal, but Biggs wasn't with it. The idea got shut down, so it was now Jay against his two partners. Even though they still had in on Rocawear, which was still moving in stores, Rocawear kept growing, adding different lines, including jewelry to the brand. The Roc-A-Fella roster also split amidst the turmoil. Cam and Dipset sided with Dame and were bought out by Escalating Records, owned by Warner Brothers, while Bleak, Peter Crack went with Jay on Def Jam. Kanye eventually went on with Jay, and Beans, who was serving a year in prison, was trying to get with Dame, but his state property comrades weren't with the move, so that caused a rift between Beans and his guys when he came on. By mid-2005, some of the leading partners started to part ways with Rocawear, but that didn't stop Rocawear's Pro KED collections, as it was selling fast. State Property 2 movie hit theaters in April after Beans' album dropped, even though he was behind bars for the gun charge he was fighting. The movie did numbers, along with the Rocawear State Property line. By September of 2005, Dame was no longer willing to work with Jay at Rocawear, which had reached a whopping $700 million in sales worldwide at that point. Because of his disagreement with Jay, he voluntarily decided to sell his 25% stake in the company for only $30 million, with $22 million in cash, and he retained control of State Property line and some other divisions which he added to the brand, including the Damon Dash collection, 75% of Team Rock, licenses for the footwear Pro KEDs, and the contemporary line by Rachel Roy. She was an up-and-coming intern for Rocawear who came in 1999, but he married her earlier in the year in 2005. Dame walked away a winner at the time. Def Jam also bought out Biggs, leaving the brand to Jay and his new partners. In my opinion, selling a share at that time was a huge mistake. 25% means he was accepting a valuation of $120 million on a company that had just grossed $700 million worldwide. Not a smart choice, but he wanted to get away from Jay at the time, so I get it. Dame now had all the time to focus on his own business ventures. Besides the clothing and fashion, he had a watch company named Tourette, a vodka company, and a television production company, and he was working on his reality TV show Ultimate Hustlers in 2006. Jay came back from retirement and dropped his new album Kingdom Come in November of 2006.
I heard saying they made ho say, okay, so make another hole.
Rocawear, the brand, continued business as usual without Dame or Biggs, and they thrived both locally and internationally. On March 6, 2007, Iconics buys the rights to Rocawear for $204 million. And as part of the deal, the company entered a separate joint venture with Jay to establish a new brand management and licensing company to identify brands to be acquired or developed. Also part of the deal, Jay would continue to be chief creative officer of the Rocawear brand. Based on Camron's loyalty to Dame, he drops his diss towards Jay, addressing the way a lot of people felt about the split.
First, stole Roc-A-Fella from Dame. Second, you stole Kanye from Dame. Third, you stole Rocawear from Dame. Fourth, I seen the nigga throw that diamond up before them shots was fired.
The track was released after Cam had that shooting incident in DC, where he alluded to the shooter throwing up the rock sign. Jay dropped a follow-up album the next year in 2007, American Gangster, that got more positive reviews. Jay was on an upward trajectory from there. Not like he wasn't doing well before, but his status was going up faster than he could even imagine. He was now surrounded by the industry giants like Diddy, Steve Stout, Kevin Liles, Leo Cohen, some of whom Dame had issues with and called culture vultures. Old friends and associates of Jay started to pop out the blue, expressing their feelings about him. D'Avin, who he had referenced in a few tracks, gets on YouTube saying there wouldn't be no Roc-A-Fella without him, and that he was going to expose Jay, Tata, and Dame, and others. And Dame was also throwing subliminals towards Jay in interviews. The relationship that they once had was no more. By the end of the year in 2007, Jay decided to step down from his role as president of Def Jam to focus on his business ventures, specifically his new 40/40 club that he recently launched. In April of 2008, Jay privately marries his then superstar girlfriend, Beyonce, who he had been publicly dating since 2001. He also signs a $150 million deal with Live Nation that gave the concert promoter a stake in virtually every aspect of his music and entrepreneurial career, also called the 360 deal, on a different level. Live Nation also committed $50 million to finance his venture Roc Nation, which included his own record label, music publishing, talent consulting, and managing projects. Still owned an album to Def Jam under his previous contract, he paid him back $5 million on May 21st, 2009, and started his deal with Live Nation. In March of 2009, Rachel Roy files for divorce from Dame. This is where his world started to crumble since they were both entangled in a joint venture together. I'll break that down a little bit further down the line. That same year in 2009, Chris Brown wasn't allowed to perform at the BET Awards after his domestic situation with Rihanna, who is signed to Jay's Roc Nation now. It was reported at the time that Jay and Al Sharpton weren't going to show if he was allowed to perform, so they chopped Chris. Dame was asked about the situation, and he voiced his opinion about Jay. At this point, most of the folks who controlled the industry weren't really rocking with Dame and had already picked their sides. On September 8th, 2009, Jay drops his Blueprint 3 album, and he addresses all the noise and chatter from everybody in a subliminal way. To sum it up, he was responding to everybody saying he backstabbed his people because he progressed at a higher level than they could all have imagined, and he can't carry everybody on his back. They gotta get it on their own. In 2010, Dame and Currency were working on an agreement to release music on his label Blue Rock, but the deal was never solidified since he never paid him, and Currency signed with Warner Brothers instead in early 2011. Dame continued to release his music despite Warner Brothers having exclusive rights to Currency's music, so that led to a $1.5 million lawsuit in 2012 for the unauthorized release. Dame claimed Currency backed out. This was one of many lawsuits to come afterwards. In 2012, Biggs, the other silent partner, was sentenced to prison for 5 years for conspiring to distribute 220 pounds of marijuana. In 2013, Jay hopped on the track Pound Cake with Drake, and he made references to all his guys making millions with him. He says, Dame made millions, Big made millions, Ye made millions, Just made millions, Leo made millions, Cam made millions. Beans would tell you if he wasn't in his feelings. So this part might be a little salacious and gossipy to many, but I gotta break it down with some facts to really establish some of their personal friction outside of business. Back in the late 90s and 2000s, Dame had a relationship with deceased R&B singer Aaliyah. Dame's guy and producer Choke No Joke alluded to Jay also being entangled with her, but there's no proof of that. There was also some rumors floating around that Dame might have made a move towards Beyonce while Jay was dating her. So fast forward to 2012, Rachel Roy, who just filed for divorce from Dame, made an appearance at the Met Ball with Solange, Beyonce's sister. In December of 2013, Beyonce drops a duet with Jay, Drunken Love. A few months later, in May of 2014, Solange is caught on surveillance tape, going nuts, punching and throwing kicks at Jay in an elevator at the Met Ball that year. Rumors begin to swirl that Rachel Roy is the subject of the controversy. An anonymous source says Solange was defending Beyonce in the elevator because Solange finds Jay's friendship with Rachel to be way too close for comfort. Beyonce also confirmed it was Rachel. Dame's egotistical personality continued to rub everybody the wrong way. He goes on a Breakfast Club where he berates the host for having a boss. They were asking him valid questions that might have triggered a nerve. So now he's even hated some more by the guys that are responsible for spinning records for any artist that chooses to work with him. In April of 2015, Dame and Rachel are entangled in a legal custody battle over their 2 children, and Dame sues her for allegedly mismanaging their LLC. In 2016, Beyonce dropped the album Lemonade, where she talks about infidelity, and she also alluded to an individual as Becky with the good hair. Rachel, although played along with the rumors, she ultimately denied ever being involved with Jay, telling People's Magazine, "I want to put the speculations and rumors to rest. My Instagram post was meant to be fun and lighthearted. It was misunderstood as something other than that. There's no validity to the idea that the song references me personally. There's no truth to the rumors." Rewind back a few months. Biggs was released in November of 2015, and his relationship with Jay, who was advocating for prison reforms, got somewhat better. In 2018, Dame was working on a film called Dear Frank with producer Josh Weber, but he was fired from his director role because Josh claimed Dame would come in there intoxicated and he was unfit for the directing chair. Dame claimed the movie was made in his home with his equipment and it belonged to him, so he tried to remarket it under a different name called A List. Josh sued him in 2019 and won an $805,000 judgment in 2021. Dame was ordered to turn over his remaining third of Roc-A-Fella Records to U.S. Marshal Service to satisfy the payment. In 2019, Dame was also sued by a photographer alleging that he stole and damaged the photos and equipment. He was initially sued for sexual assault and defamation of character after he allegedly invited her to his home to review the pictures she had taken of him over the years. She claimed he kicked her out the second day of the visit and refused to let her retrieve her belongings. In 2019, Jay becomes the first hip-hop billionaire through his business ventures. On the other hand, with all the lawsuits and judgments stacking up against Dame and his inability to cover them, a judge issued a mandate ordering him to sell a stake in Roc-A-Fella in order to pay his debt. Dame's stake in the company and what he hopes to cash in on is the rights to Jay's debut album, Reasonable Doubt. Whoever buys the stake in Roc-A-Fella will be a minority owner without any authority over any decision making. They wouldn't even have the ability to sell the copyright or borrow against the masters, as all the decisions require a majority vote. There's also an expiration date on the master's ownership for the company. After 35 years lapse, the ownership goes right back to the artist, which means it'll be right back to Jay in 5 years. Dame doesn't oppose to the idea of the sale as he's in desperate need of the money, but the issue now is with the other 2 owners, Jay and Biggs, who have pushed back against the sale. In addition to all the lawsuits, he also has child support and tax issues to the tune of $8.7 million. Dame is in a real financial mess, to say the least. And I say this not to kick a dog when it's down. It's just the facts at hand and what comes with being a public figure. The auction was set to start a few days ago on August 29th of 2024, but it has since been postponed as the original $1.2 million asking price was increased to $3 million. I'm not sure what it's worth or if the share is actually worth buying, but Dame tried to sweeten the pot by offering his chain off his neck as a bonus. If I got $10 million to invest in a business, I don't give two rabid shits about a goddamn chain. One thing for certain, it's gonna be some legal battle ahead over the sale and split of the money if sold. Let me know what y'all think about the whole Dame and Jay fiasco in the comments below. Also, let this be a lesson to all you out there. Never shit on the people on your way up to the top, because those same people will return the favor double on your way down. Dame was blackballed hard, and he found it hard to get his businesses moving forward after his run with Jay was over. Burned a lot of bridges and left a lot of sour taste in a lot of people's mouths, leading to his downfall. On the contrary, Jay became a billionaire, and some, till today, still complain about how he did Dame dirty. Relationships go sour. Even the person that you laying on a bed next to is not guaranteed to be there the next day. So, as a hustler, if you fall, you're supposed to bounce back, regardless of how long it takes. Itsonnowtv. That's my take on the whole situation. Make sure y'all drop y'all comments down below and smash that like button for me. I hope they ain't make it out of the whole situation. I really do. I don't wish this on nobody. I'ma catch y'all on the next one. Peace.